Bhaumek. We would love to see all keep their screens, their videos on, their cameras on, so that it would be great that our speakers could see all our participants. Hi, Heli. Well, we are all set to begin. Good afternoon, one and all. We are all set to begin with another stimulating session on connecting the dots. First of all, we would like to thank our esteemed speakers for being a part of the panel discussion today. Welcoming Harjeet Khanduja, Senior Vice President HR Reliance Jio, Colin Mendes, Head HR Voltas Beko, Shikha Verma, Founder Vibrant Vibes Consulting and L&D Specialist, Manashi Kumar, Talent COE, HR, Benedict Coleman and Company Limited, Times Group. The future of organization is at the intersection of digital transformation and people's influence. HR leaders need to embrace new strategies and more agile ways of working to improve the employee experience. Our esteemed panelists would share their views on redefining employee experience. HRAI welcomes you all to the session on connecting the dots. To know more about HRAI and its event, I would request all our participants to visit the link and details posted in the chat window. It would be great to have all our participants' feedback. We will be running a poll before the Q&A session. Request all our participants to kindly give your feedback on the session. I now take the privilege to introduce our moderator for the session, and further she will be taking the session ahead. Ms. Manashi Kumari. Manashi is heading talent attraction at BCCL Times Group. As a corporate leader and HR strategist, she has been managing business and teams throughout her career. With a focus on creating winning teams and successful organizations, she has worked across a number of vertical sectors and industries, from retail and data measurement to broadcast, media, and entertainment. Manashi has been an active member of the CHRO Network, NHRD Association, and ABIA, as well as advisory board member of GAMMA. She has also been a BARC India respective for the public forum and a panel member for multiple People Matters discussion. I now hand over the platform to Manashi. Over to you, Manashi.
Thank you so much for that introduction. Let me take the privilege of introducing our esteemed panelist. I think we all know Harjeet, so I'll keep it brief for him. He is an international speaker, author, poet, visionary, inventor, influencer, and of course, an HR leader. He's an alumnus of IIT Roorkee and INSEAD. He's currently working with Reliance Jio, and he's also known as the RK Lakshman of business. A very warm welcome to you, Harjeet.
Thank you. Thank you.
Our next panelist is Shikha Verma. Shikha is a learning and development specialist with 20 years of corporate experience with organizations like Hero, Wipro, Honda, Yamaha, and Panasonic. She's passionate about developing women and fostering future-ready and happier leaders. Her company, Vibrant Vibes Consulting, organizes online and offline events, leadership trainings, and acts as an advisory to create well-being strategy. She has impacted thousands of lives as a global happiness and mindfulness coach. She's a multiple award winner, a motivational speaker, author of thousands of articles and posts on human capital, who who was recently on BBC World News as well. So also known as the Passioner. Wow, we have like really stalwarts, as you can see from the introduction. Very warm welcome to you, Shikha.
Thank you, Maharshi. It's called passionpreneur.
Yeah, I was like, it was a tongue twister for me. So yeah, I haven't come across this word earlier. A nice one. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Our last panelist is Colin. Colin is the head of human resources for Voltas Beko, a JV between Voltas and Arcelor. In his current role, Colin is building talent that brings everyday happiness to each household in India. In his early assignments, Colin has worked across varied industries, engineering solutions, telecom, ITS, FMCG, pharmaceuticals, covering various facets of HR at the operational and strategic level. He has held senior leadership positions with Voltas, Group HR, Tata Sons, Tata Teleservices, WNS, Bharti, Airtel, Hindustan Lever, Pfizer, with specific exposure in people and change management during mergers and acquisitions. Colin has been recognized as the Great Manager Awards in 2017 in the category of Aligning Organization Vision, hosted by People Business and Economic Times. Colin loves to explore new geographies and is also a travel blogger. He also enjoys various genres of music. A very hearty welcome to all of you.
Thank you, Manashi, and glad to be here.
Yes, yes. So without any ado, let me kickstart this discussion. So, I think so much has changed, right? And we have used COVID as a springboard for all of those changes, and rightly so. So I think, I would just like to outline a few things before we actually go into the discussion. One is that we all know that people have become judicious. People are now looking for fun at work and life at work and not job for life. So I think that has been a very fundamental change, and we all have witnessed in our day-to-day work in our workplace. So what is happening is, earlier the notion was that people are here to pay bills. And, we always had this mindset that, is he good for me? Now it is the other way around. Now people are saying, are you good for me? So I think that's a very interesting narrative. And I think on that narrative, I think this entire life cycle of employee experience is what we would be discussing. And of course, I mean, we don't need to go into why are we discussing it right now? At what point do we start talking about employee experience? Because we all know that it impacts all the touch points of every employee. And I think, having said this, I think this problem has got compounded by the fact that today we have a gig ecosystem, we have different aspirational working with us. The very definition of talent has undergone change. Talent for us is not just 2%, 3% hypo or top of, your critical talent. Talent is, everybody is a talent for us. So you need to constantly, redefine and have practices which kind of is a disruptor for the way you look at talent practices in your workplace. And apart from that, I think what is very interesting is your multi-generational workforce who's joining the Generation Z and other people who are looking at very exciting times at the time that he spends or he or she spends at work. So HR people and HR leaders like you are now brokers of people's time. So in terms of the time that he spends, is there a wow? Is there a delight? It is adding value to the customer, and there's a purpose, there's alignment of trust, there is a role clarity, and there is, all of these things come together when we are going to discuss today the most important journey, which is the employee experience journey. So with that, I think I will ask Mr. Harjeet, what do you think is the biggest challenge right now in employee experience journey that everybody is talking about, and it has been spoken about as one of the major trends post-COVID, where everybody has gone back and relooked at their journeys and experiences. And it is not just about, making it digitized or bringing in automation tools. It's about connecting. It's about really empowering a workplace and empowering your people. So yes.
Thank you, Manishi. and welcome all of you. Look, in my dictionary, there is nothing called challenge. Everything is an opportunity. So when COVID happened, that was also an opportunity that how you can make your workplace digital. And now also when we are transitioning into a different kind of uh, way of working, which is neither physical nor digital. It is somewhere in between. There are many opportunities which we can work upon and we can create experiences. So creating experiences is something which is in our own hands. We generally create experiences in two manners. One is uh, like you become a hero and you start creating experiences for each and everyone. My boss used to say, look, when the person is going home and when the person is ready to board the train, go at that time and give that guy the promotion letter. That will create a huge amount of means personal equity. This is heroic kind of HR. You can actually do heroic kind of HR and you can create those kind of experiences. And there is a need for creating these kind of experiences, especially post COVID, because now, like you rightly said, people are not looking at only living life or paying bills. People are looking for that what more I can do with my life, because this can go away any like क्षण भंगुर है कभी भी चली जाएगी. So can I have more experiences? And that is why employee experience has become more important in the current context. And second is, as HR guys, we have a responsibility of creating an ecosystem that, apart from heroics, there is a hygiene layer which is there in place, so that one is experience should not go bad. Second is, why do people come to work? They come to work to work. My wife was asking me, like, where do you want to go? Where do you feel happy? And I was thinking, and then I said, look, apart from home, work is the only place where I feel very happy because I have a lot of things to do. And I feel like I'm making a difference. Now, coming to that point where your employees are also saying the same thing, that are you making a difference? Do you feel like going to office just because you can't see Netflix anymore? And for doing that, there are, like, when you build trust with your employees, that is how I feel this is the time when organizations should start working on building trust. During COVID, what has happened is, fortunately, unfortunately, the trust of employees got breached at various levels. Some of the organizations tried to focus on their bottom line and did not uh, care for employees. There were employees who were caring for employees in terms of their health and wellness, but at the same time, employee was looking at, Acha, what is happening to my growth? What is happening to my promotion? Has my salary increased? So now these emotions were not coming out.
Yeah.
So when people feel that there is breach of trust, then what you have to do is you have to strengthen that trust. And when I hope you have, this is not an opening question where everyone has to do 2 lines answer.
No,
I
no,
hope I can.
no, you please, yeah, we're loving every word that is being said by you. Yeah.
So there are 3 kinds of trust which actually organizations can focus on. One is the strategic trust, which is basically making sure that the direction of your organization is right. Your strategy is such that you're making money, your CEO is taking the organization in the right direction. That is something which is very, very important for employees when they look at the organization. Second is organizational trust. are the policies fair? Are you treating me the way you are treating the other employees, whether senior or junior? Is there transparency in the system? Am I getting my salary in time? So the basic organizational fundamental policies. So that is the lay of land which you have to put together. And third is uh, personal trust. The people employee deals with every day, how those people are treating each other, uh, that becomes very important. So if you see nowadays what HR people have been working on, most of the HR people I talk to, they have been talking about, we are doing program for managers and we are improving the skill set of managers so that the experience of employees can improve.
Yeah.
So that is a new trend which has come in practice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The managers becoming coaches. The idea is let us make coaches out of managers.
Uh, Frankly speaking, I would say first let them be managers.
Yes.
Exactly.
Talking about we have to, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Look, you go to the next level when you are at a level. You can't can now go to the roof. That itself is too much expectation. Another thing is, look, suppose you are a good organization, you are already doing all these things and trust is there, then why employee experience? So what happens is, this is called expression of love. Um, like in our childhood days, there were the kind of movies that they used to make at that point in time. In that, like if you would have seen a movie like Sajan, where the person could not express that he loves and the lady goes with someone else. Same is happening with employees. You are not able to express that I am doing all these things and I am doing all these things because I love you. I want you to be with me.
It's a love language.
Yeah. So look, employee experience has become important because expression. Companies have been working in a very, you can say, monolithic manner that, okay, of course, it is a transaction. You work for me, I pay you. But there is something beyond that. So it is not about loyalty. It is about that warmth when you are dealing with something, and that warmth bind people together. So earlier it used to be loyalty. Now the new name, it is not the new name. It is actually a new concept that there has to be that warmth. And if you are able to keep that warmth together, then people are going to be with you. And if you are able to present it properly, then people are going to love it, because presentation is something which is so I will tell you, we had a Rangoli competition and people made Rangoli. No, I was judge of the Rangoli competition. So it is not that only I was the judge. There were other people from various different functions. And I looked at the Rangolis. And what I found was that the person we declared winner, that person did not have the best Rangoli. But she had the best presentation. That why she made it that way. So you might be the best place to work, but if you are not able to convey that what we are doing and why we are doing and why it is important for you, it is the perception that matters, not only the work which you are doing. And that is why employee experience is not a maths, it is a subject of art. I will hold here and back to you.
I think, such interesting insights shared with by you to all of us. While you were talking, I was thinking about two success metrics, because there are so many points that you kind of brought out. And I was thinking, one is, of course, if a company is relooking at all of this, like just the way you said, and creating a very new employee experience for various kind of talent, then one would be, of course, the employee loyalty, which we all know. The second would be the discretionary effort if the employee is going and putting, because he is finding this place very warm, catering to his needs, aligned to his needs, trust is there, there is alignment of purpose, there is role clarity, and all of those, which is centered around his belief that he should be here. So I think these are two success metric according to my understanding from Harjeet, whatever you kind of, very, very beautifully laid out. Because I think for an audience takeaway, when suppose they need to go and, do this, there should be very clearly defined success metric. And I think the return on anything that we do is becoming so important, even for human resources. So I thought maybe if it kind of resonates with you, those were two key success metric. Clearly, I can see if we have to go and spend and relook at the entire employee journey.
Right, right.
Yeah, thank you so much. So, Shikha, I think what I would like to understand from you, given your context, is like, how would you look at augmenting or enhancing the employee journey at your workplace? And why would you do it? When did you begin? And what were some of the challenges, as Mr. Harjeet said, what are some of the opportunities for us to kind of, for you to kind of relook at that?
Honestly, from an employee experience perspective, I totally agree with what Harjeet just mentioned. Today, a lot of organizations are not even measuring it. Okay, we barely around have less than 30% of them looking into the end-to-end employee experiences. It's high time that we look at our employees as customers. And just like we've shifted from customer experience long time back, we need to look at, what is it that our employees need, what are we missing out on, and how do we cater to it? So in my experience across all the organizations I work with, there are a lot of times I've seen organizations relying on technology very, very heavily, which is something that has happened in the last 2-3 years alone. We want a platform for everything. We want a solution or an app, and we feel the minute that interface is up and running and I've deployed that kind of a tool, our problems are kind of sorted. Which is not really true. For all the HR fraternity, today we all realize that the gimmicky, methods and perks are not working anymore. What's required is going that extra mile. And I love the usage of the word warmth by Harjeet. That's really where the real miss is. Okay, we are not well-intentioned when doing a lot of things even today. So I may do a happiness workshop, I may do a well-being workshop, but my intentions and the warmth is not there. I'm doing like a check in the box, which is really a miss. I feel we face challenges, Manashi, specifically because we're not okay with these messy middles. I love the way Dr. Susan says this. She very candidly talks about we are trying to have answers to every single problem all the time as HR and L&D, which is not possible. It's humanly impossible. Yeah. This is something we've all learned during the pandemic itself, that it's all right to build the motorcycle and ride it at the same time. This is the point where we have to embrace the vulnerabilities and actually go back and brainstorm and see what's working. How can we do it differently? What's not okay for you on the ground? And I have done this. There are times where I've actually gone back to my employees saying, okay, there are too many asks in the survey. It makes absolute no business sense for me to go ahead and do anything and everything randomly for you. So help me crystallize this for you. I've really had brainstorming sessions with a sample size of the population, different groups and levels within my organizations, and they've helped me crystallize it. And okay, this is what we're going to do. We've used analytical tools to derive those kind of priorities and then gone ahead and rolled out that entire employee experience journey for them. So like you rightly said, we're doing the mapping, but the problem is that we're solving the wrong problems. We're not even asking the right set of questions. Yeah, for example, the latest problem we're facing is quiet quitting. Okay, or let's say moonlighting. Quiet quitting is a classic situation that got created because of breach of trust. Yeah. Right? Even today, we're hearing organizations actually chucking out 2,500 or 50% of their organization employees. On one end, we call them human capital. Yeah. Is that what you do with your assets and capital? Really? So this is where the gap is, in terms of our treatment and what we are doing on a real-time basis. Our words and our actions just don't match. There's too much of a gap.
Yeah.
So one thing is that we need to be comfortable with these messy middles. And second is ask the right set of questions and solve the right problems. Are you looking at redesigning your employer-employee contracts today? Are you okay with allowing dogs at home if the person has problems back home, to take care of a pet? We don't have a lot of pet homes today. We still have daycares for children. These are practical issues. Even I'm a pet owner. And sometimes, I'm bewildered that if I have a client call, what do I do with my dog? Can I take my dog along for a client meeting, really? We're not evolving at that pace the way things are changing for us today. We're working in hybrid, we are allowing remote, but are we looking at infrastructure requirements of our employees?
Yeah.
Do they even have a workstation and high network, high Wi-Fi speed? I remember during the pandemic when my husband told me that the company had actually given a specific allowance for the infrastructure for work from home to all the employees. Very few organizations today would actually go over every bit of what employees' requirement would be and actually cater to it one step at a time, just like you would do for a customer. Gartner's recent research surprisingly shows just about 13% of our employees are fully satisfied. I am sure no company is ever going to be okay with their customer satisfaction being 13%. Then why are we okay with employee satisfaction being 13%? These are questions we really need to put our head around and find out the right answers. Giving part-time or only flexibility will not resolve the issue because it's way beyond just that check in the box. We've given flexibility, we've given remote working. It's not going to work anymore. You have to go deeper down. You have to have discussions, put your head into it, understand what will make a difference to your employee and create those opportunities and ecosystem like Ajit said. So it goes leaps and bounds beyond that. And this is what I have done in my journey in terms of resolving these issues and giving them that kind of an experience. A simple social kind of a platform, like a semi, Facebook for the internal interactions was created. And a huge amount of money was invested in that. Nobody was using it. Because there was nothing on that platform that was talking to them. It was not about them. It was about the company only. And the day I realized that, we revamped the whole platform and made it everything about them. We made it actually like Facebook. What's latest in your life? What's the best vacation you've had? We ran campaigns around it. We had, R&R schemes for them. And this is what brought all of them on the platform. So from a 28% adoption, it went up to a 95% adoption with various series of campaigns over a very, very short period of time. So till the time we don't make it about them, I don't think any solution, any practice or policy is going to just work in an ad hoc or a fragmented way. And communication is the key, like Harjeet said. When you're doing something, let them know why this is being done and what's in it for them. And we have to do that each time, every time, not just once.
Yeah. Yeah, you can never over communicate in HR, I think.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I think, so insightful, Shikha, and some of the very important questions you raised, which we all will kind of take back to our workplace. But I think one of the things which, for me to sum up what we are saying is, it's not the how part, because the how part will always get done. It's not the what. It's the how part which we need to see.
Correct.
And as you spoke about the resignations and the terminations that are happening, nobody is saying that you don't do it. It's just, again, how you do it. Because that's the dent you create. And that's the dent that you create, which takes maybe years to kind of, again, build advocacy and branding and linking it to your EVP and everything that we speak in HR, which are very, very huge HR jargon words. But I think, yes, so... Yeah. Thank you so much. So I think, the next question, because we are talking about warmth, we're talking about employees, we're talking about smell of the workplace. So how would you align your workplace culture to the context in terms of employee experience? How would you marry these two? If you can just throw some light on it, and yeah, we'd like to hear from you, Colin.
Sure, sure. Thanks, Manashi. In fact, I think one of the most important things, is first to really define what culture, what work culture we all aspire to have, or we all aspire to give as experiences to employees. Yeah. And, to me, and I think to all of us, we probably agree that the ideal work culture is meant to boost productivity, decrease employee turnover, and of course, improve employee engagement. I mean, because if you have all these three strong pillars, you have, a work culture that, we would all want to aspire for. And so, if this is the desired state where we want to be, really what behaviors, what expectations, and really what priorities should be a part of our organization or our company, that we want everyone to experience. That's very important. And, if I were to cite an example over here, consider customer centricity as one of the behaviors that you would want to drive in an organization. That is important. So in this case, it is important to demonstrate actions across the organization that will drive this desired behavior. Yeah. And this is the culture that you will want to set. So let me put an example. If we want to put our collective minds together to achieve a common goal, do we still work in silos, or work towards individual recognition, or do we really put our hearts together to work towards collective brilliance? That's one possible thought that came in my mind. The second, really, to me, would be, how welcoming are you, or how welcoming are we with new colleagues who join our team? Do we spend time to orient them, to share with them, to engage openly? Or do we really want to leave the employee to discover or get surprised every day? You know? And so, really, do we make it easy or difficult for them to settle down in a new environment? I think this is very important because whatever culture you want to drive in the organization, it will broadly sit in these three pillars of productivity. To really enhance productivity, to focus on, bringing employee turnover, decreasing the turnover, something that we're all experiencing, which is at the highest right now, and of course to focus on engagement. And today we're talking about engagement and how engagement has been rapidly depleting over a period of time in most across the world. And so therefore, what is the disconnect that has taken place, and what is the culture that we want to drive in there? And really, if you ask me, employee experience, and I know Harjit spoke about, how do you package, how do you present it properly? I think that's very important, because I will recall one of a beautiful incident when I walked into a store in Bandra in Mumbai, and though it's a little away from my residence, I will always go to that store again, because I have got an unforgettable experience that will make me want to come again and visit the store again. So that's the kind of experience, if we are able to bring, and if we are able to infuse into our organization and drive that culture at a much more broader perspective, I think this is going to be very, very critical. Yeah. And if I were to put it, Manashi, in an overall nutshell, I think employee experience is really everyone's responsibility. It's not, HR. It's not the managers. It's everyone's responsibility. That's what creates the organization humming and hungry to do more. And I think we need to be really instrumental in driving this change, and in making the work, building actually the work culture that we all desire. So these are some of the things that, to my mind, I think would come that will make a difference at a larger scale.
No, thank you. I think, one important point to note here is you said that employee experience is not just an HR program.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Because I think that's where I think the problem is difficult to solve then. So yes, thank you. Now, the next question, I think I would like to kind of throw it open to all the three panelists, because I think we are talking today about hybrid work, we're talking about digital, we're talking about, how the workplace has become digitized, and also your work has also become digitized, right? So you're all the three W's, whether it is your work, your workplace, or the worker, all have become going through a digital change. And it is not just a digital change. This has to be cohesive in terms of marrying with a physical change also, because a lot of people are working hybrid. Some are some are obviously working from anywhere. Now the question is, there are some people who are vulnerable. They have joined your new organization, and after 6 days, after 21 days, after 90 days, they are lost. They are now back home, and they don't know what are the reward system, or how they have become disengaged. So this entire employee experience journey, how does it cater to a workforce which is spread across, working from anywhere? And how does it kind of dovetail into the entire physical experience? So the digital experience and the physical experience and the technology coming together to kind of make it complete is the question I would like to ask all the panelists. So whoever wants to go first.
I'd like to start by answering that, Marishi. I've had a fabulous experience of late over these 3 years alone with online interactions. Okay, these are people I've never known. These are people I've never worked with. And the kind of work we've been able to create through these collaboration tools like Slack or Zoom meetings and Google Meets and Teams of the world, it's of the highest, caliber and productivity. And the essence that we've been able to produce in that work was such that people were heavily touched. They could, just frantically send their comments in the chat box that this is heartwarming. I feel loved for the first time. I'm feeling that there is an energy out there which is going to take care of my life. Comments and feelings were pouring on the screen. What I'm trying to say here is that it doesn't matter whether we met people or we haven't. We've got them into the office or we haven't. It's the connection, it's the relationship that matters. What space are you operating from? What kind of empathy are you demonstrating? What heart are you putting into that work is what shows to them in every little bit of your action and behavior. The problem today is that we don't realize the power of the heart. Okay. And I'm a very strong endorser of happiness, well-being, and empathy at work. I've always believed you can only have bosses or happier leaders. Okay. If you are a happier leader, your way of managing your team is completely different. Okay. The words you choose, how you tune in, how you check in with them, what kind of questions or the choice of words you pick, there's a world of a difference. And I can draw from my own experiences. I've had all types of experiences, not just in my job or my actual employment, but later also. And I have come across CHROs and leaders who speak from their heart. Okay, that pulse is so palpable. You can feel it on an online or an offline session, right? Because it's there, it's in their voice. That conviction just oozes out of the screens and just shouts at you. So what I want to say is empathy needs to be deployed as a strategy. Happiness, well-being needs to be deployed as a strategy today. This is what is going to be the competitive advantage for any organization, no matter what length and breadth of business you're running. But this is going to help your employees connect with you and also want to give more. I do hear a lot of people today, come back to me saying there are people who are just looking at benefits of the whole process. We care for them, we give them services, we provide them help. But what about productivity? The answer is very simple. The productivity is bound to come, provided there is authenticity in all these efforts. And there is integration. The issue I've seen with a lot of companies is, unfortunately, efforts have happened, but in pockets. Okay, and they're not talking to each other. Okay, and plus it's not well supported through the ecosystem, or let's say the managerial level, the people who are directly talking to them every single day of their life. So till the time these efforts are well integrated into the system and one thing talks to the other, things just fizzle out, they just fall apart. And those moments are created, but experience is not created. And this is where our challenge lies, right? We honestly need to realize that empathy is like the liquid gold in the alchemy of productivity in any organization. So when you start looking at it from that perspective and actually creating a bridge in the real sense between you and your employees, and change that relationship from an employee mindset to an actually associate, a stakeholder, like a customer, then is when you actually level up the game for yourself as an organization, and you're bound to thrive. The problem is we say their assets, their capital, but our treatment, our actions don't speak that, like I just said. So these practices, the empathy, allowing your employees to bring their whole selves into the workspace. Imagine we are not okay with employees talking about their belief systems. Why? We're not okay with employees showing their weaker sides or their financial needs or talk about their health problems back home, an ailing parent to look after. We are meant to hide these fronts of our life and not talk about it to our management.
Even the relationship issues they have. It's
Yeah.
all like hidden, like swept under the carpet. You can't talk about it.
Yeah. I'm like, why do I have to segment them and then expect the best out of them at the workplace? A segmented person can never bring the best for the organization. If you're not allowing them to do things that they value or create value in what they're doing, you're not allowing their whole beings at the work. The productivity is proportionately going to get, generated from them. Because somewhere or the other, my focus levels, my energy levels will be depleted. And this is what stats and numbers are showing us today. Look at the mental health issue, look at depression. They've all been pronounced as pandemics in themselves. We're at the highest levels today when it comes to mental health and depression numbers, or even the feeling of loneliness for that matter, post-pandemic has gone up. These are alarming numbers. We cannot divorce ourselves from these, bigger issues and expect that this organization culture or whatever we are creating is going to work in a silo. It can never happen like that. We all have lives and we're all humans first and then employees. Forgetting that basic principle is where everything goes amiss, to my assessment. I think this is where a major alignment is required. Let them be, let them talk to you, care for them, tune into them, and really, really bring those value additions for them at the workplace. Simple things that I started off talking about was the level of collaboration went up by 200% because our intentions were aligned to bring the best possible fest for all the entrepreneurs out there, people who were struggling, people who wanted to make a mark, people who wanted to do something meaningful. And this fest actually touched hearts. Even today, after a month and a half, we're still getting feedback, of how it impacted their lives. And this is only an online event by almost 200 of us who've never met in person.
Wow. Nice.
So that's what I would love to share.
No, I think you just called out the most important line. And, in Buddhism, in the practice that I follow, it says it's the heart which is important. And you just said everything, it's the heart which matters. So yeah, beautifully said. Thank you so much. Harjeet, if you can throw your thoughts on this.
I will not throw them.
We will catch it.
I will try to stack them properly. So look, distributed workforce is not that, it is not something which has come right now. We are thinking just because of COVID, now people are working from home. So then distributed workforce problem has come. If you consider companies like Ola and Uber, they already had a distributed workforce. And I was very interested in how these guys operate. So talking to a driver, and I asked that guy, which is better, Ola or Uber? So he told me a particular name that, okay, this is better. I said, why this is better? He said, look, whatever I say on my app, that this is this much money I'm going to get, I get every week that much money. That is why this company is better. Now, here what we are talking about is that the person has two options. There is no formal agreement that you have to do this work only. The person has a full choice. It is the same work you can do for any of the companies, The person is ready to do for one company, not for the other. And the choice is made based on whether you are paying me timely or not. That is the hygiene of the transaction. And don't just say that this is the money part. It is fairness and transparency. What on a timely basis. Then second thing, I was talking to another cab driver that why do you drive Uber? What is that you get? He said, sir, safety is the reason. And I was like, safety is the reason. How come safety? He said, sir, like I was driving a customer home at around 2 o'clock in the night, and then the customer started misbehaving. He took my car keys and he said, I will not. The customer was drunk also. And I called the I called the Uber office. So I was not thinking anything will happen. And then suddenly I found that a police van came. So I was thinking that police people are going to beat me up because I am the driver. And to his surprise, it was the company who sent that vehicle there and they got those keys back and everything. And he said, I am not going to leave this company for anything because it took care of me when I needed it the most. Now, this is again an experience which you created by putting a system in place that whenever any of my employee needs me, I am going to stand by my employee and whatever happens. In fact, this is again a cultural difference. So one of the driver was telling me, uh, you know, I work for this particular company because they listen to me and the customer with the same ear. For them, my word is equally important as the word of the customer. I don't drive for the other company because these people only listen to the customer. They don't listen to me as a driver or me as an employee. This is again a differentiator. And what we are talking about is, again, the basic fundamentals. Um, Uber doesn't have a call center for customers, but Uber has a contact center for their drivers. So if their drivers are feeling frustrated, they can call that contact center. And those contact centers are full of HR employees. Those people tell them, oh, you are doing great. Acha, you have a problem, we will solve that problem, but you are doing great. You should continue to drive that. This is like when we talk about performance management, just see the live example of performance management, that how in the new age performance management is done. When you have a distributed workforce, whenever they need, you are giving them a booster. You had a fight with the customer, your something is not right, they will make sure that those things are right for you. Another thing, I will tell you an incident. A guy came to my home. He was a pest control guy. He entered. So now, what do you expect from a pest control guy? So he came and he started asking, "Why have?" My wife said, "Big cockroach." He asked, "In the daytime or in the night?" Came at night time. Then I was curious. I said, "How does it matter whether she saw it in the daytime or in the night time?" He said, "Sir, time they are not getting fed properly, and if they are not getting fed properly, that means they are out." And
Is there some
I
disturbance?
was impressed with that guy, and I that guy.
Sorry,
Hello.
Harjeet, you're getting stuck a little on the screen. Maybe you want like to repeat yourself a little bit.
Some network issue, I guess. Yeah.
We heard till the pest control guy came to your house. After that, it has been,
Okay,
you're losing your voice.
oh, I'm so sorry. This pest control. I hope I am clear right now.
Yes, yes.
So he came and he asked a question. Have you called me? My wife said, because I saw a cockroach. He said, in the day or night?
Hmm.
Said, how does it matter in the day or night? He said, if it was in the night, that means you have lesser number of cockroaches. If you saw it in the day, that means they are not being fed properly. So they are searching food in the daytime. So there are going to be more number of cockroaches in your house. And I was impressed by about pests. And then I had a long discussion with that guy about what kind of, told me which kind of pest and what kind of. Now, if you ask that guy, okay, are you going to leave your job because your customers are engaging with you, they are curious about you, they are appreciating you, and you can see in their eye what kind of appreciation they carry for you. This company has made him understand these small nuances. So when you engage people with work, you make them competent so that their customers start respecting them. They can earn their livelihood. You make them like you are not dependent on me for salary. You can earn your salary because you have good enough uh, knowledge base and skills so that you can earn on your own. But you are with me because you love me. So I believe that is how you manage your distributed workforce. And what I have told you, this is not a random thing. If you
Hmm.
see, this is built on Maslow's hierarchy. You're taking care of physiological needs, you're taking care of psychology, your safety needs, you're taking care of belongingness needs, you're taking care of aspiration, and then self actualization. So, self actualization is basically you are taking it to work and you are saying you are engaged with work. That is how experiences are created, in my view, uh, especially for distributed workforce. And you can apply that to the people who are there in your office.
Very interesting example. I'll always remember this.
So Manishi, if I can just add a
Yes,
little
yes,
to
Colin,
what
over to you. Please share your views on this.
Sure, sure. So if I can just add a little to what Harjeet has mentioned on a distributed workforce, and for sure, I think we've seen the model that has got redefined and actually that has shifted in terms of the workforce mix from which traditionally we had to a more contemporary hybrid, and I think the example of Uber and Ola are kind of completely different models that one needs to look at. But I'm saying from a workforce standpoint, today we have people working on site, working remotely, virtually, or offshore, as well as people working in shared services, flexi hours and gig workers. So this talent, to me, I think would kind of grow multifold. More than 15% of the workforce will actually be on jobs of this nature. Yeah. And so, therefore, if I look at it from an employee experience standpoint, these formats of employments will continue to stay. Yeah. And so the biggest challenge for all of us today is, what is the kind of experience that we need to provide for this distributed type of category, which will drive engagement, build loyalty, propagate advocacy, and so on and so forth. And so therefore, the example of the Uber driver, you know what matters to A or what matters to B could be completely different. And so do we have a one size fit all approach? And it's important to really look at what everyone is really looking for, and create a story where we have really different strokes for different folks. Yeah. And I think I would like to just quickly talk about, very important to really deliver unforgettable experiences throughout the employee life cycle that will ensure that the employee is engaged and with the company for an important time, for a sizable amount of time. And I think, to my mind, the most important process is really the experience when the employee is contemplating to make a job switch. Yeah. To join a new organization. Because here, there's so many emotions going through the employee's mind. Is that employee, is the new organization in line with what the employee is looking for? Is how would that manager be? How will the team members be? And I think this, to me, is before, and if you apply this in a customer's context, is before customer acquisition takes place. What all you do to actually create that change in mindset, that hey, this is the company that I want to join, this is the place where I want to. So I think that's the employee experience which actually needs to evolve completely. And I think the beginning and the start is the most important. And of course, beyond said, that there could be other areas that is throughout the life cycle that are increasingly important. But I think the start of before the employee becomes an employee is going to make a big difference. Yeah. So that's a little bit that I wanted to just add on and mention. Anushi, I think you're on mute.
Yeah, you have to unmute.
Are we running out of time? I had one quick question, and we can request for bullet answers on that, Peterson.
Yes, please go ahead, Manshi.
Okay. I think just for the audience who are here today and listening to all of us, if you have to talk about two, marquee themes while you're designing this employee experience, we spoke about empathy, we spoke about heart, we spoke about being well-intentioned, we spoke about little things which make a difference, So if you have to a kind of, really pick out the two themes in each of your areas, what would that be? So there is a, solid takeaway for everybody who's listening to us. So I'll start with Shikha, with you.
Sure. So I would specifically go with well-being as one key pillar for sure. And the wellness or the well-being pillar would take care of every little touch point, not in terms of the employee life cycle really, but with respect to points where there is high amount of pressure or tension for them, especially in the first 30, 60, 90 days of their joining an organization, to, when they have promotions and change of role. So the amount of stress that they go through is immense. Also, if there are any personal transitions that the employee is going through and the person needs help. So those would be touch points where I would want to focus. These are just very few examples for our participants to take back with them, that the well-being actually has to be an end-to-end journey, right from the beginning till their retirement, but it should be stitched very closely to the moments where they need it the most. And it should be employee driven and not employer driven. So there should be systems and platforms like that where they can enter their requirements, they can send in their queries, like EAPs, their employee value-added systems can be created around it. And there are several apps today. There are several platforms who are doing exceptionally well when it comes to allowing the employees to map their mental health, ensure that they're doing something for their own well-being. Like you have Virgin Pulse. I recently had a very classic experience with my husband who barely walks. His senior, assigned him the duty of actually a challenge of walking 15,000 steps over a weekend. And I'm like, really? Doesn't she know you? Because he's been working from home for the last 2-3 years. And most of the times it's like from the bed, you just get ready, you're into your job, and the whole day, because he's in media, he would constantly be closing all the coordinations, and he does global work. So there is no time limit to what time he gets up from the table. So stepping was something that he was just not doing, despite all my push as a well-being, person who endorses it. But he happened to do it because it was something that the whole team was doing, and everyone was busy and engaged into achieving those targets. So that's definitely one key theme that I would focus on, end-to-end well-being, not just physical, but mental, emotional, spiritual, and financial, which is one of the key pillars, which is left out by a lot of organizations. Even financial education for women today has become a huge need. Having said that, the other one would be the systems and the practices that are required in the organization. So right from the policies, what are we doing around building that flexibility for your employees? Like I said, you can do some tweaks on the employment contract and also introduce new allowances for your employees, or say a half a day allowance, like a, mental health kind of a advantage to the employee, that you can apply for this anytime you want. Not just half a day, it could be a 1 day. So it totally depends from organization to organization, what kind of considerations you can bring in terms of your policies and practices. But do that very, very diligently and do it with the voice of your employee. And don't just guess it. Don't just think this is good to have solution. It'll look nice as an offering when I talk about it in forums. That will not work anymore. It should be sticky. It needs to connect to your people. And every organization is unique. So just the copy-paste method is not going to get and yield those kind of results anymore. So ecosystem platforms, getting the right digital tools to collaborate. It's actually hyper coordination that's going to work in the coming times. We need an amoebic organization, which is very, very porous, with less boundaries, less frameworks, less, protocols, so to say, in terms of you must do this, but giving more autonomy to your people, giving them more freedom, and a guided freedom is what they need. And we have systems and processes that can allow you to create that kind of a guided framework and freedom for them. So I would highly endorse tools like Slack, asanas for project management, collaboration, and also look at how you can engage with your employees more in terms of frequent connects with them. So these would be some 2 key pillars, but some examples of what I would do under that.
Thank you so much, Shikha. Harjeet, your thoughts, please.
I think.
Okay, so Colin, do you want to go?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll be very quick and to the point, because I think it's very important. Manager plays a very critical role, and in addition to what Shikha just mentioned, wellness is very important. But I think the manager plays a very critical role in driving and a link in driving the team's productivity as well as the engagement. And I think the focus must continue to be on manager effectiveness, and which will ensure they're able to create a far more deeper and more robust employee experience. Yeah, we have Harjeet in there.
Yeah, Harjeet, we'll come to you. We actually lost you for a few seconds earlier. Yeah.
Okay. So basically what all of us are saying is the same thing. I would say the 2 things are listening to your employees and creating experiences for your employees. Like when a new bride comes home, you make that new bride plays certain games, and somebody has designed those interventions. So
this example, Harjeet, I love that.
Harjeet's examples.
They're so routine and they're so relatable,
Yeah.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So if we can do that, nothing like that, and I will end the whole thing with one thing which is called psychological safety.
Yeah.
My wife was doing utensils. So it is not that I don't do utensils. I also do. It was her turn to do utensils. And she was doing, and she told me, you be here. And I was like, you want my help? I can do. So she said, no, I don't need your help. You just be here. And I will do the job. But this is something which people want. Be around me. And how you deliver it is totally up to you, whether you do it through manager, you do it through HR, you do it through contact center. But giving that psychological safety in the organization is something which is very, very important. So listening to people, creating experiences and providing them psychological psychological safety is something which you should focus on, and that definitely helps.
Wow, I think, yeah. So on that note, I think there are many takeaways for the audience, and I hope they all remember all Harjeet's very relatable stories, and those are real stories. I will definitely, Harjeet. And I think what we actually said is the share of thinking for HR in terms of how are they upgrading their processes, how are they harmonizing people, technology, processes, to kind of go to a place where employees are feeling wanted, needed, and feeling the warmth and the love and the language of love, which Harjeet said, and the share of voice, which has to increase, is what needs to be looked at. And these are very simple things, and there's no rocket science. I think the intention has to be there. The intent is there. I think everything will be okay. I think on that note, we would like to kind of end this very insightful session, and thank you for the audience to be here, and for the panelists for sharing with such honesty and with such passion their journey with us. Thank you so much.
It was a pleasure,
So,
Manish.
yeah,
Pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Before we conclude with our session today, we'll just capture the feedback of our participants on our today's session. And to do that, we'll be running a poll. We'll request all our participants to quickly share your feedback on our today's session. I'm sure you all have had great, insightful learnings out of today's session. Please do comment, share your feedback. So thank you, Manishi, for taking us through this exciting session and making it such interactive and exciting. Thank you, Shikha, Harjeet, and Colleen for sharing your valuable thoughts and insights with us. It has been a privilege having you all for this engrossing session. To all those who wish to learn and grow, you can access the recordings of our today's session on our YouTube link shared in the chat window. Before we conclude with our today's session, we would also want to thank all our association members, that is Geisha, NASCOM COE, Talgrow, TLE, WICCI, LinkedIn Local, and Ahmedabad for supporting HRAI events. To know more about these associations, I request you to kindly visit the link provided in the chat window. Do join us for our next Connecting the Dots session on the topic, Achieving Agility, on 17th of November, 2022. That's it from us today. See you soon. Stay safe, take care, and bye for now. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Shyam. We can hereby conclude with our today's session.
Sure, Peter. Thanks.